Hey y'all, this week's live show is going to be a little bit different than normal. The reason why is because normally on Mondays I'm live at 3 p.m. on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm literally going to be on a plane headed somewhere during that time. So I decided that today, before I head out on that flight, I'm going to pre-record today's coaching session that's supposed to be live, and I'm going to be posting it on YouTube so that you guys can be able to see it and watch it however many times you want. And the reason why I wanted to do it this way was that, one, I need to make sure that I'm bringing out content for you guys every single week that you can help and develop your own game. Whether you're a coach, whether you're a player, whether you're a parent, I really think these tools that I give you guys every Monday are things that if you apply, it will change the game. And not just the game, but like the game of life. And that's how seriously I take this stuff. So I just wrote down notes from one of my favorite books of all time, What Drives Winning by Ledbetter. And this book is seriously a game changer. Like when I was coaching at Purdue, the team read this book, and when the team started applying the things that were in this book, they started seeing drastic changes, not only on the field, but off the field. And we know that this game, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have a cohesive defense, if you don't have teammates that can rely on each other and trust each other, your team's not going to go very far. I still say this to this day. When my team won state my junior year in high school, we didn't have as much talent as the other team that we played in state. We didn't. But what we did have was a unified team that was going to fight till the end and battle next to the person to our right and our left, and we're going to fight for a victory. And we did that. And we came back, I think we were down 7 runs, and we came back in the 6th inning, and we ended up winning 9-8 in that game. It was insane. But without the cohesiveness that we had as a defense and as a team as a whole, we wouldn't have won that game. So I want to teach you some of the things that I've learned from this book. But before I do that, I'm going to give you a little update on our goal setting course. So the girls that are in it right now, I just want to keep you updated because this is so freaking awesome. Last week was our first week, and what we did were live calls with everyone, and we set our big time goal. And what we did after that is we went over the specific things that we were going to do this month every single day so that we can develop a habit so it'll get us closer to our big time goal. So we literally, and I'm giving you a little bit of insight on the things that I've taught them, is they're spending 20 minutes every single day, whether it's right when they wake up in the morning or whether it's right before they go to bed. They're going to have 0 distractions around them, which means no phones, no TV, no siblings, nothing nearby them. So if they have that type of stuff in their bedroom, I told them to go into their closet. Find a secluded space where they can spend 20 minutes a day on their own mental game and just themselves. So the things that they're writing down are things like, okay, reminder of what that big goal is, because the more you remind yourself of it, the more likely it's going to happen. So they're going to do that. They're writing down specifically what they learned that day, specifically what they did that day, even if it was 10 minutes or an hour, spending the time on that actual goal that they have for themselves and how they got a step closer to it. So literally these are things and tactics that we worked on. And so week 2 is where I'm going to see how they're doing with that. I'm sure the first couple days were easy because we decided, and they were fired up as soon as we had that call. And I bet you days 1, 2, and 3 were probably easy for them, but they're probably going through this little hump right now where they're okay, we're not fully seeing the results yet, but I should probably keep doing this because it's part of the course, but they're probably at that hump where they're just okay, I don't see it benefiting me yet, but I hope it does later. And who knows, maybe they are seeing huge results right now. But this week I'm going to check in with them, and I'm going to be their accountability buddy and make sure that they're going to keep doing this, because I can tell you from experience, this practice, if you spend every single day with just 10 minutes, 20 minutes intentionally working on yourself and what's going on in here with no distractions, that is when you're the most creative, and that is when you can fire yourself up the most to go after something. So this week's accountability week, and I'm going to be checking in on them, and they're going to be posting inside our special Facebook group what their goal is, their big goal, because every single person that's signed up for this course, or every single girl that's in my online training currently, we are going to be firing up every single one of the people in the course. So they're going to say their goal, and we're going to be you got this. How did you get better on it today? And just inspiring each other, because we all know that when we're going after something hard, we can't just be secluded and try to only do it on our own. There are people out there to support you, and that's what accountability week's going to be, and that's what's going on this week. So super excited about that. Now let's get into trustworthiness and having a cohesive team. So first of all, I think let's just say the theme of today is going to be, are your standards high enough? A lot of people, I mean, we just had camp at Notre Dame this past week, and a lot of people were just kind of showing up, and the fact that like day 3, I'm telling you what, girls that were there for all 3 days, by day 3, everybody was tired. I was tired. Shoot. Like 2 full days of coaching and then going into day 3. Sometimes day 3 is the hardest, but for me, day 3 was the day where I knew I had to show up with the most energy, because that's where I needed them to have the most energy and bring it out when they're exhausted. Because last time I checked, a 7-inning game is a long time. And when people are, especially at your level, maybe at travel ball level, are playing like 4 or 5 games a day, having the energy in the last game of the day is sometimes the most important. So we were working on having that energy till the end, because if you don't have it, your team's probably going to plateau and hopefully come out with a win. But the other team, if they have more energy than you, they're probably going to come out with a win. So we were talking about the things that they can do, making sure that their standards are high, especially in practice, so that the games can come easier. So we worked hard at my station. Like, I kind of have a little hoarse voice today because I was up and running, and even though I was tired, I was like, can you guys tell that I'm tired? They're like, no. And I'm like, well, I can tell that you're tired. So this is something that if you work on specifically when you're tired, reverting that mindset to, I'm not tired. I'm not tired. Are you kidding me? I have a game to go in. Like, for me, game day is coaching day. Game day for me is coaching at clinics and camps and doing my lessons every single week. Like, that is game day for me. So if I slack in energy, they're going to slack in energy. So I definitely didn't allow them to do that. So here are a couple things that you can work on to make sure that your standards are so high that come game time, it's almost like easy. You just get to go play and have fun. That's how we want games to be. So some of these things, tactics, I pulled out of What Drives Winning by Brett Ledbetter. And so let's start with, what's your role? This is number 1. And by the way, I always encourage you to write notes. Like, take notes from today, and even if you only take one of these things, if you apply it, you will see results. So write down this stuff, apply it to your own game, apply it to your own life, and I guarantee you're going to see results. So number 1, know your role. Okay. And what I love from this book is, so this goes over so many different things in your game that you could be working on, like confidence, being courageous, resilient, competitive. But the chapter that I'm looking at today is the trustworthy chapter. And it's kind of crazy that, like, trustworthiness and knowing your role, like what the heck, how could that correlate? Like, how could that meet each other in the middle? And I'm here to tell you that if you're not trustworthy as a teammate, if you're not trustworthy, you're not working on your own game to develop trust within yourself and then others, you will not see the success that you want to see on the field. So there's 2 definitions for trust. And that is, well, there's one definition for trust: to rely on someone or something. And there are 2 different types of trust. So trustworthiness is being reliable. Okay? Are you getting your stuff done? Did you struggle with something in the last tournament and then spending the next week working on that thing to get better at that, so the next time your teammates can trust that you put in the work, so you're not going to have that problem again and you're not going to do the same thing twice? That's the type of thing that you develop trust by working on yourself. And then the second one is trust willing. And that is relying on others. And that means that you're going to be putting in your own work. You're going to be working on becoming the best player that you can possibly be. And then in return, you're going to work on that, and your teammates are going to do the same thing for themselves. So that's where you have to be able to work on your own self by knowing your role, okay? And so a lot of people, and this could be a whole nother live, is knowing your role. But what I really like in this book with knowing your role, I think I found it, fulfilling your role. I'm going to read this excerpt. It's on page 240 of What Drives Winning. And it says, fulfill your role. Your teammates depend on you to fill your role. Just like the offensive lineman, which they talked about earlier in the chapter. You have an obligation to your team to do your job to the best of your ability. Work with your coach to fully understand your role. Work with your coach to fully understand your role. A lot of players are intimidated by their coach, and they're trying their hardest not to make their coach unhappy. And I'm telling you what, if you are trying not to make your coach unhappy, you are going to in turn make your coach unhappy because you're not becoming the best version of yourself. You're trying to fit a mold to like what they want you to be, but in return, you need to become the best player you can be. And I'm telling you what, if you have this conversation with your coach and you say, hey coach, I don't know what my role is. Like, am I supposed to be the one that's supposed to just get on base and steal, like just get singles all the time? Or do you want me to be like a power hitter and hit runners in? Do you want me to be the most clutch hitter on the team? Like, where do you see me becoming? And I will do my best to become the best version of that. And this is where this conversation is not had enough. And when I was little, I never had this conversation with my coach. I was just like, okay, I'm hitting 5th in the lineup. I think this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to try to do it. But the people that go to the next level are the ones that understand, okay, these are my strengths in my game, and I just want to make sure that my coach sees those strengths, and that's what my coach wants me to be doing. So going into the game, going up to your coach and just saying, hey coach, like, what's my role on this team? What do you want my role on this team to be? And I'm telling you what, right now, the sooner you know your role on the team, the more confident you're going to be to want to be in pursuit of becoming the best version of that. So I'm just going to throw this out there too. Some of your roles, and this might hurt a little bit, it might sting. You might be sitting the bench right now. You might be the one on your team that shows up to practice early, is doing all the right things, but you and your level of play is not up to par with everybody else yet. And your role on the team might be to be the best teammate that you can possibly be. But if you're playing this mind game with yourself, thinking that you should be a starter, you should be hitting number 1 in the lineup, and you're not in it at all, you are self-sabotaging yourself. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you're sitting at a place where you think you should be somewhere and you're not asking your coach why you're not in that spot. Like, if you believe in your heart you should be hitting number 1 in the lineup or wherever in the lineup, and you're not in the lineup at all, and you haven't had a conversation with your coach, you are going to be living a very miserable softball career. And I know this like might sting for some people because some of you might be sitting the bench right now on your team, but have you had that conversation with your coach? Have you had that conversation with them? Because most coaches, I'm not saying all of them, some of them will take this conversation and reverse what I'm saying, but most coaches, if they want what's best for you, which you should be playing for someone that wants what's best for you, they should be completely honest with why you aren't in that role or why you aren't in that spot right now. And if they can say that and they can tell you, okay, these are the things I need you to be doing. I need you to be more consistent up to bat for you to be in this role, for you to be hitting number 4 in the lineup. I need you to be more consistent. Now you know the answer to get back in that lineup. Now you know that when your team maybe is up by a lot and you're getting your shot, to be able to go in and do your job, if you do that job in that one scenario where they throw you into the game, they're like, okay, let's see if they can do it. And you do it, you will get more opportunities. But this is where some people, they sit and they're just like scared for that opportunity. If you don't have it right now and then you're given the opportunity, it's kind of scary. But you have to be taking the time to mentally prepare yourself for that moment, for your shining moment, so that when you're in the game and you have the opportunity, you can get the job done. Okay? So every day, if your role is to become just in the lineup, and because you're not, understand, one, if you're not in the lineup, you don't get to sit there and sulk and hope and wish that you get that somebody on your team does bad so that you can get an opportunity. That should never be what your role is if you're sitting the bench right now. Your role is to be ready for that shining moment that they give you. Now, a perfect example of this is in the Women's College World Series last year. I don't remember her name, but she played for UCLA, and she only played in not even 10 games that entire season, and her role was to be able to hit a home run, or her team needed her to hit a home run, and she came in a very clutch situation. It wasn't in the final game, but I think it was in the final series, but I think it was the second game. I could be wrong, but my memory sucks, but she hopped in. There were runners on base, I think, and she jacked a home run over the fence and had less than 10 games on her belt that year. But she knew that she was preparing every single day of practice. She was working just as hard as everybody else, but she knew what she was working on was to be ready for that moment. And she was spending every ounce of her day. I guarantee you she was reflecting on and dreaming, okay, when I have this moment, this is what I want to be doing in that moment. And then she went out and she did it. Players don't just randomly do that. Players don't get lucky like that. And people would be like, wow, she's lucky. She didn't even get to play that much, and she made it happen in that at-bat. No, she was preparing for that at-bat. She was a role player. She was someone that wasn't in the starting lineup, but knew that her role was to be on the bench for the majority of the time, but when she needed to get things done, she could be that person. That's how you have to know your role. So I just totally went off on a tangent on rule number 1, but it's knowing your role. Okay, so from there, number 2, what does the best version of that role look like? Or best version of that role look like? And now let's go back to this UCLA player. She knew that she wasn't going to get opportunities to be a starter in every lineup. She wasn't going to get that this year. She just knew that. She had that conversation with her coach, and because she knew that, she then had to prepare and imagine what her shining moment would be. Now, a lot of people, they get upset when they're not a starter, right? And they're just like, oh my gosh, I just wish I was in the lineup, and I don't know what to do to get in the lineup. I just told you. You have to put in the work behind the scenes so that when you have your shining moment, you can live up to it. Now, what's going to help you with that is being able to envision that moment happening for you. So if you are literally that player, let's say not playing, which by the way, you can take this into any sort of just role, but I like this one because this is the extreme. So if you're not in the lineup and you know that there's going to be a situation where you're going to go into a game, either your team's up by a lot of runs or you're down by a lot of runs, you're going to get your shot. Understand that you have to see yourself in that moment and try to envision what it's going to be like. And you got to kind of play imagination. I was literally in lessons yesterday and we were talking about the power of imagination. You have to imagine yourself doing the thing that you want to be doing, and you have to play it like a movie in your head. And obviously, when you go into the game, it's not going to be exactly the same. It's not going to be the same setting. It's not going to be that tree's over there, this pitcher's going to be on the mound. No, it's not going to be exactly the same. But the more you can kind of put yourself in the situation of, okay, maybe there's a runner at first, and I need to move that runner. Okay, I'm going to try to shoot it to the right side of the field, get it through the infield over there, so maybe she can get to third. You have to envision yourself doing these things for them to happen. This is where the power of 20 minutes spending a day on you, on what you need to grow in, on what you need to learn, on what you've learned that day. You can think and imagine and just come up with the best. Literally, you are the only one that's going to be in that situation when it happens. So if you're always relying on other people to tell you what that thing's going to be like, what that situation's going to be like, they're worried about themselves, okay? They're worried about their own success. So focus on your own success and where you can grow and see where you can be in the future. That's where I want you to envision it. So go ahead, take some time to reflect. If you're hitting number 1 in the lineup and everything's going well for you, there is a next level. There is a next level. So imagine yourself at that next level. What does it look like? That's number 2. What does the best version of you look like after you know what your role is? What does the best version of you being in that role look like? And write it down. Write it down in a journal. If it takes a couple pages, it takes a couple pages. Write as much as you can think of, okay? So do that for number 2. Now, number 3 is we're going to go back to trust for a second. So if you are consistently, I just squeaked. I did this yesterday during lessons because I had camp and then lessons and I squeaked a couple times. Just bear with me. My voice is gone, but it's all because I was just yelling and excited and I had so much energy at camp. It was crazy. But let's go to trust. So again, the definition, to rely on someone or something. Now, there are 2 types of trust. Trustworthiness is being the reliable one. Being the one on the team where when you struggled at any point in time, let's say you struggled in, I'm not going to bring up the low and inside pitch like I brought it up last week, but if you struggled with timing, let's say in the last tournament, and you're not putting in the work between one tournament and the next on your timing, you're not as a trustworthy teammate. And I'm not saying you're going to work on your timing and tell everybody, hey, I worked on my timing this week. Don't say that. Put in the work and let your work show. Okay? You don't have to get all the credit for it. I just want you guys to know that not everybody has to know what type of work you're putting in. You should know and you should work on becoming the best version of yourself without having to tell other people how you're doing it. Okay? So that's trustworthiness. Now, trust-willing. You have to be able to rely on other people as well. And by the way, you can't rely on other people if you can't rely on yourself. So that's where we go back to being trustworthy. Being the teammate that you say you're going to be. Being the one where you tell me as your coach that I've done this with so many of my players, how many times a week do you work out? And what, not just physically lifting weights, how many times a week are you working on your softball game? How many times a week are you working on your mental game? Which is, at least 20% of the game. At least. Most people say it's 10% of it. Or no, sorry. The physical aspect is 20 or 10%, but the mental aspect is like 80 or 90% of your game. How much time a week are you putting into that? Now, I'm telling you this right now because in order to be trustworthy, you have to be working on the things that you're struggling with. And for some people, it's mental game. For some people, it's a physical game. But you got to be able to spend time on that stuff and become a trustworthy teammate that when a teammate asks you, like, hey, like, what type of work did you put in this week? You can be like, honest. Yeah, like last night I spent 20 minutes like focusing on my mental game. And you speak from the heart and you speak from an honest perspective. Maybe you didn't work on anything all week. You cannot go up to that teammate and say, oh yeah, I worked on my mental game like every night for 20 minutes a day. If you didn't do anything. You become trustworthy when you are honest about things. And are you being honest with yourself? If you're not being honest with yourself, you're not being honest to others. Okay? So be honest, reflect. Maybe you took the entire week not working on your mental game or softball at all. Be honest with yourself. Some people need a week off. Some people need a week off after a long season. So if somebody, asks you like 2 weeks after season ended, hey, have you been practicing since our last tournament and you haven't? Be like, no, I needed a break. Like the more transparent you can be, the more honest you can be, the more trust you're going to get. And the more trust that you have within yourself and your teammates and your coaches and your parents and everybody else who supports you on your dream of whatever it is in softball, more trustworthy you can be, the more cohesive of a unit you can have. So prime example, last night, Nadal won his 19th, I think, championship or major championship in tennis. And one of the first people that he talked about was his entire team and how he had so much trust in his team. And by the way, yeah, he's the only one on the court. He's the only one that you see. But you don't know that his fiance is his number one supporter. And no matter what, she's behind it. Like, she's in his corner. He also has a coach, probably a mental coach, probably a physical coach, probably all these different coaches that help make him who he is. And he gives credit where credit is due. He knows that he showed up on the court that day, but without the support of them, he would have been nothing. And that support comes from trust. He has the ultimate trust in his team. He has the ultimate trust in every single fan that's in the stands that wants him to win so bad. Like, he is transparent. He is transparent by giving credit where credit is due. And the teams that can do that, the teams that have teams behind the teams, like let's say your parent who is not a coach on your team is someone that's pushing you to bring out your best and work hard behind the scenes. And they're like, hey, did you go out and practice today? Don't roll your eyes and say, no, I didn't practice today. I don't want to practice today. Instead, think of the fact that they want what's best for you and they know that your goal, let's say, is to hit a home run. They're just being accountable for you. They're like, hey, did you work on that today? And by the way, I'm going off on so many tangents. You don't have to physically work on your home run every day. You don't have to physically go out and hit every day to get close. Like, you don't. You will probably burn yourself out if you do that. But you can work on your mental game. You can work on that 20 minutes every single day on, hey, I got closer to that home run because I spent, 10 minutes listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video on how the best hitters are swinging or how the best hitters are thinking. That's still working on your end goal without actually going out and physically hitting. So don't think that you have to spend 20 minutes a day on the physical aspect of whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. You can be working in so many different ways on that type of thing. And YouTube is great, guys. YouTube, I said that funny, but YouTube, you can see the swing, the best hitters in baseball, softball, whatever you're trying to pursue, the best of the best are on there. And they didn't put it on there, somebody else did. But you can see their swing. I can't tell you how many times I watched Jenny Finch pitch when I was trying to figure out how to pitch. My dad and I would watch Jenny Finch over and over and over, like, why is her stride so big? How did it get so big? Her arms are so strong. My dad literally bought the Finch windmill that her dad created to develop arm strength because I knew I wanted to become a good pitcher, and my dad went and bought that for me because he knew that was going to help me become a better pitcher. So I spent like several minutes a day like going through the routines that she would have to go through to develop arm strength with that machine. And so there are ways other than just actually pitching that got me to become a better pitcher. So, and again, I go off on so many tangents, but you become trustworthy, back to trust. You become trustworthy by putting in the work on like behind the scenes. And that's where I just commemorate, I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm just going to use it, Nadal, for being able to say, yeah, I wouldn't be winning in the way he won. By the way, it was like a 4-hour and 45-minute match. He wouldn't have been able to win. He wouldn't be able to overcome that intense match and win without the people that were in his corner. So you have to be able to develop trust within those people to be able to be your very best self. So last thing, your words should meet your actions, okay? Your words should meet your actions. I kind of hit on it a little bit before, but if you are lying to yourself or lying to others on what specifically you're doing, you are not growing. You are actually hurting yourself in your game, okay? You need to be honest with every ounce of yourself. Like if let's say right now, to build trustworthiness, if a teammate told you right now, hey, and this has nothing to do with softball, but like, hey, like I'm not in a really good place. I got bullied the other day at school, and it really affected me. But I really don't want you to tell other people. I just really trust you, and I want to share that with you because it's been on my heart. And they say that to you, and you say, oh yeah, I won't tell anybody. And then like the next day, you like tell another teammate like, hey, so and so is like kind of not great because she got bullied at school, and she got bullied at school. Like, just, I'm trying to think of like a scenario that could happen in middle school or high school or something. And the reason why I'm coming up with this is because I actually used to be the person that when someone trusted me with advice, I tried to fit in by telling other people their issue. And this is literally me. This is me showing and being honest about something that I struggled with growing up. And I was not a good friend for a while because I tried to fit in by telling other people's business. And you know, still to this day, like there has been a couple scenarios where I can think and I was just like, oh my gosh, they told me not to tell anyone, and I did. And I felt terrible. And it's something that I am not as bad as I was when I was younger, but it's something that I'm still working on becoming better at. And I lose trust by telling other people's business. And if you are one of those people that's trying to fit in by telling people other people's business that nobody else should really know, you're losing trust within some people that did have a lot of trust for you. You lost that. And so now I'm still trying to recover from, some trust that I've lost from other people. But it's the way of life. I mean, without that mistake, I wouldn't have realized that I had, a problem with that growing up. So, be honest with people and be able to, and I'm not saying keep secrets from people. That's not what I'm saying. But when people trust you with information, you need to be able to, honor that. You need to be able to honor the fact that they had trust in you to know that, and show them the utmost respect by keeping that promise to them. Okay? And if you're promising to your coach that you're going to be working on bunting because you're not good at it, 3 times a week, you need to honor the fact that you told your coach that you're going to do that, and you need to go do that. Okay? Because without that, you're not going to be a better bunter, and without that, you're not going to be a better teammate. So you're not a good teammate if you say one thing and you do the opposite. You're not a good teammate if you pretend like you're putting in so much effort and you know that there's more in the tank. Like, for example, there was literally a camper this weekend that every time there was a hitting drill where it's actually a competition between 2 cages, and they were trying to hit. If they had a line drive to the back of the net without hitting the sides, the bottom, or the top, they got 2 points. And if it was a hard ground ball up the middle without hitting the sides or the top but could hit the bottom, they got 1 point. And I really encouraged them to have high energy because I told them that the highest energy team, the one who's actually like wanting the person that's hitting in that very moment to get the job done and not like, and do it, like it's supporting them because they're a team, they're a unit that's trying to win, that team was probably going to come out on top. And there was this one girl that literally only cheered when I was standing by the team. Her team. She only cheered because she knew I was standing there, and she was faking the fact that she was supporting her teammates just to make it look like she was doing a lot of work in front of me, and it really bugged me. And so I just stopped going over to that team. I just stopped because that's not being a good teammate. That's not being a good teammate. If you're faking it, if you're literally only like doing things to try to please the coach and you're not actually doing, having energy for your team because you truly want that person to succeed, you don't have your teammates aren't going to have trust in you. And because that girl was faking it, the other team was just like, who is this girl? And they had no energy and they lost by a landslide. So you don't want that. They say that's like an energy vampire. Like they're pulling the energy. They're like only making it about themselves and not others. And that's an energy vampire. They want everything to be about them and they're trying to get you on their level. So that's just an example of an energy vampire. But she was not one that her words met her actions. She was just trying to have words so that, like, fake energy so that I could see it, right? But, like, I've been in this industry long enough to be able to know when people are fake and people are real. And the more real you are and the more honest you are with other people and the more that they can trust you, the better teammate you're going to be, and therefore the better teammate your team's going to be. Because your teammates are going to see that and they're going to be like, man, I need to be more like that person. So be that person. Make your words meet your actions. Okay? Cool. Last thing, I just want you guys to know that these videos that I come up with are literally just things that I've learned growing up, and they're things that I really think that the more people that hear this, the more people that will be inspired. So if you literally, like, I'm going to challenge you right now, if this affected you in a way that you know you're going to apply this to your team, become a better teammate, I want you to share this with your teammates. I want, whether it's an email, whether it's, well, I'm posting this on YouTube, so you can share YouTube links with anyone. But I would love for you to share this because I truly believe the things that I'm teaching every single Monday, the things that I have on YouTube, the things that I have in my Smash Tribe group, these are things that are going to change your life within this game. And please, 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 like I would love you guys to support this channel. I'd love you to subscribe to my channel, and I'd love for you to share this information with other people. And it's not me being selfish, it's me understanding that, like, there are things in this game that other people don't know that I do, and I want other people to apply these things to their game and see their lives transform within it, and become the best version of themselves. That's why I come up with this content. It's not for me, it's for you guys. So share it with your teammates, please. And subscribe to my channel because I post videos every single week on YouTube. And man, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. One, I'm going on vacation for the next few days to kind of relax after camp. But I'm just so excited because I know that after that vacation where I'm just going to just like be stress-free, not worry about specific stuff within Ashley V training, I'm going to be able to come back next week with probably an even more epic episode, which is something specifically to what you guys need. So if there are specific things that you guys want to hear on these YouTubes or on these live coachings that I do every single Monday on Facebook and Instagram, I want you to please send me either a DM or comment on the bottom of this a question that you may have or a coaching topic that you need a little bit more insight on, so I know specifically that I'm creating content that you guys need. So comment on the bottom of this YouTube. Let me know what you guys want to hear, and I'll come up with content specifically for you. So awesome. I totally just hit on every single thing that I wanted to, but let's go over just the things that are going to make sure your standards are high enough. 1, know your role. 2, remind yourself of what the best version of you in that role looks like. 3, develop trust within you, your teammates, your parents, your coaches, everybody that's in your tribe. And 4, have your words meet your actions. Awesome. So if you guys want a little bit more insight on the things that I coached about today, pick up the book What Drives Winning by Brett Ledbetter. It is amazing. I love it. And if you have any other questions about the book, shoot me a DM. I'll respond back to you. Okay, awesome. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you guys live next Monday on Instagram and Facebook at 3 p.m. See ya.